Good morning, good evening, and afternoon. Welcome to Leaders Worldwide Toastmasters Club on February the 7th. And it's a special speech day. So let's get started. I'm Sally Reyes, your acting Sergeant at Arms. And please take out your phone and set it to silence. And help me welcome our president of Leaders Worldwide and the general intuitive angel and a Toastmaster. And I would like to say the incomparable Cynthia Stott.
Thank you, Sally. So wonderful. And I'd like to welcome everyone, all our members and our guests from all around the world. Great. And Seema, are you playing a role today?
Table Topics Master. Hi, everyone.
Great. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, thanks, Curtis, for letting me know. And I want to welcome you with the Toastmasters International Mission and International Core Values, and also our club mission and club USP, I guess it is, who we're designed to serve. Toastmasters International, we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Our core values are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. And the club mission is that we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And here at Leaders Worldwide, we're specially designed for politicians, business and nonprofit leaders, entrepreneurs, and others who want to make their message heartfelt, authentic, and ready for the worldwide stage. And boy, are we ready for the worldwide stage. We are going to be having our international speech competition in 2 weeks on February 21st. We're hoping for about 10 international speech competitors. It should be really fun. And we're going to have an international staff helping everybody, and we are also getting ready for a TEDx event, hopefully in the fall. All of our little chickadees, our members, are getting on to Easy Speak. I know Kathleen is happy about that. If you're getting on, if you still need some help, we're willing to help. Just you have to put in your effort too. We're going to meet you halfway. Great. And we aren't going to officially start organizing our TEDx talk until we have everybody on board. Great. And we're also looking for our Speakers Bureau. We're crafting a webinar. I think I'm talking to the web developers in India on Friday and going to find out about that. But in the meantime, I am matching speakers one by one to Toastmasters clubs around the world. So here at Leaders Worldwide, we speak around the world and to the world every time. I want to welcome our guests. We don't have time to welcome you individually today. We got a little late start, but we will have a chance for you to offer takeaways and chocolates. So I need to turn it over to the Toastmaster of the day, which is me. So I'm going to welcome our timer. And today that is Tiffany Ellis coming from the Bahamas. And Tiffany, our first speaker, is our keynote speaker. Can you give us the timing for our keynote speaker, please? Let me check the agenda here. Tiffany, are you there?
I am here.
Awesome. And our timing for the keynote speaker is 15 minutes. So it's 3 13, 14, and 15. And then his Q&A is 5 minutes. So that's 3, 5, 4, and 5.
Okay.
Okay, you got that? Great. We're going to start with that one. And then did we end up having a grammarian today for our word of the day, which is wild? Guess we didn't have a grammarian. Judith, would you like to be our grammarian? Put you
I
on the
would love
spot.
to.
Oh, that would be fabulous. Thank you. So Judith, would you mind explaining to us what the role is of the grammarian? We also mix it with the all counter and then our word of the day, which is wild. And oh, I forgot to mention our theme. Our theme is riding the tiger with the Lunar New Year.
Oh, the Chinese
Please
New
take
Year,
it away.
right?
Yes.
As a grammarian, I will look for great use of the English language, any interesting phrases that some of you may use in your speeches. And then I am also an accountant, right? As well.
Yes.
Okay. As an accountant, I will look for all those filler words that you are using and shouldn't use in your presentation. Us and arms and like and you know and probably many more of these. And I will report at the end of the meeting when I am called to do so.
Great. Thank you. And I forgot to call our general evaluator who is here and I took her first job. Sorry about that. The incomparable DTM Swarna Kalyan, who is the Club Growth Director of all of Singapore. Please welcome Swarna.
Hi, good morning. And going by the theme today, I think I have to say Gong Si Fa Chai. Yeah, we are celebrating
Yay.
Lunar New Year. So if anyone here is celebrating, wishing you a wonderful year of the tiger. And coming from this part of the country, the world where we are all still celebrating, it's a 2 weeks celebration. And I just want to share a little bit about what this year is supposed to be. It's supposed to be water tiger, meaning that it's going to wash away whatever we have experienced. So I'm so looking forward to this year. I think the whole world is looking forward to a year where we have get over the pandemic and move on to the life that we want to have or we had prior to all this. You know, I think the last 2 years have been challenging. So let us welcome the tiger with all its roar and vigor and vitality, and all of us experience that in this year coming. Okay. My team today, of course, we had our language evaluator shared her what she will be doing, and we have our timer and the R counter, and we have lovely evaluators. So I will take over once my segment comes. So thank you so much and have a wonderful meeting, friends.
Thank you so much, DTM Swarna. That was awesome. And now we come to our keynote speaker, our favorite finalist at the World Champion at Public Speaking, 2-time finalist, James Jeffley. And he's going to be talking about, let me get my records here. I forget the name.
Hello, goodbye, and the SIM.
Hello, goodbye, and the SIM. He's going to be sharing with us how to make powerful opening and closing to the speech. So let me read his introduction and bio. James Jeffley is an award-winning international speaker and trainer, a speech and life coach, published author, musician, and minister. He has served as president of East Bay Toastmasters and Heart to Heart Toastmasters, both President's Distinguished Club. And I'll just let you in on a little secret. He saved Heart to Heart when it was on life support. So we so appreciate him. When without Heart to Heart, we wouldn't have Leaders Worldwide. So I guess he's the father of Leaders Worldwide. Since joining Toastmasters in October 2013, He has won the District 57 International Speech Contest 3 times, the District 57 Table Topics Championship twice, and the Regional International Speech Competition twice, and has been a 2-time finalist on that stage for the World Champion of Public Speaking. And so without further ado, I will introduce Mr. James Jeffley. Take it away. Woohoo!
My mom, Gladys Zollicoffer, said hello to the world on November 4th, 1922. My mom, Gladys Jeffley, said goodbye to the world on January 3rd, 2022. And as remarkable, as wild as it is to think that she was going to celebrate 100 years of life this coming November, her life was so much more than the beginning and ending, the hello and goodbye of her existence. Her humble beginnings in Oklahoma and all of who she was at the end were shaped by the SIM, the SIM, the stuff in the middle. She worked in Kansas City, supporting the war effort at a munitions plant. She later served as a nanny and home manager to a lovely, caring family in Kansas City. She was like a second mom to them. They lovingly refer to her as Gladdy. She got married in 1954 to my dad, Jesse Jeffley, and joined his large family of 10 brothers and sisters who welcomed her with open arms. They later were blessed with 2 children of their own, me, James, and my sister, Sharon. We later blessed them with 5 grandchildren between our 2 families. Mom wasn't perfect. She had her flaws, and she did the best she could with what she had. She valued her appearance. She loved fiercely, and she was frugal. In fact, one of her sayings, or Gladys-isms, as we call them, was, "I'll hold on to $1 until the eagle hollers." Some of you may have colorful family members with their own special sayings. Even though she was at the edge of 100 years of her life, her beginning and her end are not as important as the events and experiences that shaped her life, the stuff in the middle. How you came into the world, your circumstances, surroundings, your socialization may have been formative, but they don't have to define you for a lifetime. Your choices, experiences, and actions have the ability to continue to mold you, shape you, and guide you to an ending that you may not yet even imagine. We all know our beginning. None of us knows our ending. And as for the stuff in the middle, well, that's entirely up to us. What comes next in life is based on our intentions, decisions, and our actions. So I ask you, what impact do you want to have on this world? How do you want to live the rest of your life? What legacy do you want to leave behind? The past is done. The future is yet to come. The only thing that matters is now. You've said hello. So before you say goodbye, what do you want to make of this stuff in the middle? Toastmasters, guests, friends, I was asked to speak on the topic of how to begin and end a speech. And while I'm not done, I do want to shift the tone from speaking to teaching. I want to ask a few questions. What have you noticed about my speech so far? How did I begin? How did I end? Anyone?
You started with the story of your mother.
Started with the story of my mom.
You started with her beginning.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
You had us at a hello. You had us roped in right at the beginning with that story.
And the letters SIN, which may mean other things to other people, but this was unique. Stuff in the middle, it's adding the humor.
Yeah,
We have a few things in the chat I could read for you. Is that okay?
sure.
Let's see. You explained your title,
Mhm.
Swarna said. Michelle said you talked about a story of your mother. Kathleen said you started with the story and expanded to the message. And then Swarna's Kalyan said you had SIM, which was curious. Those two
Yeah.
things are really noted.
Yeah. I like to think that I created suspense before I even uttered one word. How? With a somewhat cryptic title. Some of the most interesting feedback that I've gotten in my Toastmasters experience actually came from Heart to Heart Toastmaster Michael Ann Conley. And she once told me, after I'd given a speech, she looked at me and she said, "You're a stealth speaker, aren't you? You start one way and then take us in a completely different direction, and we never saw it coming." Yeah, I do that quite often. Why do you think I do that?
You get twice as much of attention that way.
You get twice as much attention and anything else?
It's
Well,
really
people stay
engaging and
Yeah.
you keep people in it.
Yeah.
You engage people and you keep them in it. I've seen so many speakers give away their thunder in the title of their speech. Have any of you seen that? Someone gave the title of their speech and they told
Yes.
you everything they were going to talk about. And at that point, you're at a point of decision. Do I want to listen to this? Does it sound interesting to me or not? But if I give you just a little bit and I leave a question unanswered, it hooks you before I say a word. So my advice to you is hook your audience with your title even before you say a word. There was a world champion of public speaking. I got to witness him give this speech in 2017 or 2017. And he started off, it was the longest title of a Toastmaster speech ever. I think it was like 57 words. And then the Toastmaster had to repeat it, as is the protocol. So by this point, the audience was in stitches and he hadn't even walked on the stage yet. And then after having read such a long title, everyone's applauding, he comes out and his first line was, "I don't like to talk much." We were hooked. He came in second that year, but the point was made. So hook me before you say a word. But I digress. We're here to talk about beginnings and endings. In my experience, it's usually much more effective to tie the ending and the beginning together. Let them serve as bookends for your speech. Why? Well, one reason is because of the law of primacy and recency. I don't know if it's an actual law or not, but it's a phenomenon. It's the observation that information that's presented at the beginning of something, primacy, and at the end of something, recency, whether it's a speech, a movie, etc., tends to be retained much better than information that's presented in the middle. I'm sure many of you have experienced this. Translated to speech making, how you open your speech and how you close your speech is critical, because those are the two parts of your speech your audience is most likely to remember. Hook them at the beginning, give them relevant content somewhere in the middle, and give them a powerful closing. According to a website, executivespeak.com, these are the 5 worst ways to begin a speech. Let's see if any of you have actually seen these before. Number 1, I was born in, oh no, here comes your biography. And have you ever heard this one? Or someone starts off with a technical presentation. Studies show that, bore me now. Or this one is fairly standard. I'd like to thank whomever, the Toastmaster, the meeting organizer, the organization, for inviting me. Share that in private. It's not that it's bad. It's just ordinary, pedestrian. Or this one. I hate public speaking, so... And soon, most of us will hate public listening. Don't speak if you really don't want to speak. Spare us all the suffering. Or this one, I didn't prepare anything. Then why are you up there? I know, to be fair, sometimes we get put on the spot. Toastmasters, oh, we're missing a speaker for this. Would you, and always have a pocket speech. Would you be willing to speak? Always have a pocket speech. If you don't really have anything to say, politely decline. Or if your ego won't let you, or your club president or Toastmaster, have a go-to quote, statistic, or relevant short story to tell. You could also try my TAs. Oh, there he goes with the acronyms again. My takeaways. I've shared this in other speeches before. I'll share it with you all now. What do I mean by the takeaways? There's a takeaway message, there's a takeaway action, and there's a takeaway benefit. So before you're asked to speak, even in an impromptu way, ask yourself, what's the most important thing I want my audience to remember? That should be the takeaway message. Short, simple, concise. Takeaway action. What do you want your audience to do? You have the floor, you have their attention. What's the call to action? And finally, what is the takeaway benefit? The thing that would be most useful to them, not to you, but to your audience. You can use all of those. You can use any of those. They don't have to go in that order. What's the most important thing I want to share with them? What do I want them to do? And what would be of the greatest benefit to them? If you're thinking, well, James, what can I open with that's more powerful than those things that you just shared with me? Anything. Just make me laugh, or make me think, or make me feel. Hook me, pull me in, make me want to listen to you. You can start with a short story. You can start at the beginning of the story, and then the relevant things in the middle, and then the end of the story. You can start with a joke. You can start with a number of things. In fact, you can start with a joke, but be careful because not everything is funny to everyone. Now that I have children, I understand the scene in Return of the Jedi where Yoda is so tired of answering Luke's questions, he just shuts up and dies. You could begin your speech with a relevant quote. Yesterday's home runs don't win today's games. That's from Babe Ruth. You can also start with a powerful statistic. Did you know that 55% of people say a great story is primarily what holds their focus during a presentation? Yet 46% of presenters feel that the hardest part of a successful presentation is crafting a compelling story. If you're in a place where you can use a picture like on Zoom or a PowerPoint presentation, if you're in front of a live audience, you could use a compelling image. Lunchtime on a skyscraper. You could go a lot of places with that. Or you could ask a compelling question. Well, how do you define political discourse? You could make a powerful statement. Family is a verb. And believe it or not, silence can be a provocative way to begin a speech. How long did it take before you became uncomfortable? 5 seconds to is this camera frozen? Is there a technical glitch? What's going on? Silence is powerful because most people expect you to, well, speak during a speech. Silence is either an effective tool or an indication that something is wrong. But if you use it well, it can be a powerful ally. You could have silence. Ever find yourself in that space where you don't know what to say or do? I call that space the last 2 years. Well, some of you might be thinking, James, those are great. Now, how do I end this speech? Well, you end it with a tie-in to how you began. If you began with a quote, finish the quote. If you began with a story, finish the story. If you began with a question, answer the question, tie it to the beginning. There was a radio announcer, some of you may remember him, by the name of Paul Harvey, and he had a radio show called The Rest of the Story. This was a Monday through Friday radio program. It started as part of his new newscast during the Second World War, and then it became its own series on the ABC radio networks in 1976. The Rest of the Story consisted of stories presented as little known or forgotten facts on a variety of subjects, with some key element of the story, usually the name of some well-known person, held back until the end. And now you know the rest of the story. It was compelling. I listened to many of those shows. You could end your speech with a call to action. Ask your audience to do something, vote for something, march, sign up for something, read something, start something, stop something. Ask your audience to do something. You can answer a question that you asked at the beginning of your presentation. You could ask them a question, give them something to ponder. And here's something I'd like you to think about. As for the sim, the stuff in the middle, be brief, be relevant, be factual, and be compelling. It's the content that supports the beginning and the ending. Finally, for the ending, you can leave people with a fitting acronym. Here's one for you. Since we're talking about the end of the speech, you can focus on AFT. AFT? Yes, what is AFT? AFT is act, feel, and think. All of that stuff in the middle, did you make people want to take action? Did you make people feel what you were talking about? Did you make them think a different thought? If you design all that stuff in the middle around AFT, act, feel, and think, you can have a powerful, engaging speech, something worthy of their sharing it with others. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I said hello, and now it's time to say goodbye. I hope you put all the stuff in the middle to great use. Toastmaster.
Oh, fantastic. Woohoo. It's going to open your mics and give him a huge round of applause. Woohoo.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. I'm glad we have it recorded. That's a lot of good
Yes.
stuff.
And
Lots of
can
good
we have
stuff.
5 minutes on the clock? So we have the questions and answers, and you can shoot those into the chat if you like, make comments and ask questions, or you can raise your hand. And Kathleen, can you help me if somebody's raising their hand? Can you let me see that? Well, I just want to say that, James, wow, you just wow us every time. I think we could have you speak once a month and you wouldn't run out of material. and you wouldn't run out of audience either. I think you are one of our favorite keynote speakers. Although you've never sung to us. I know you have a beautiful singing voice. So
My romance doesn't have to have a moon in the sky. My romance. Well, another time.
Wonderful. And Swarna has her hand up. Swarna.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for having James again. And James, wonderful session that you have given us. So many things to ponder. My struggle is always with the title. I guess we need to be creative, and I don't know how to be creative with my title. So I don't know. Do you have something, you have a formula, or how do you come up? Or can it be random? I really struggle with that.
I struggle with it too, but then I don't get hung up on it's got to fit X number of words or it has to make sense. I just look for what resonates with me. So quickly, do you have a speech that you have to give soon?
Okay, I'm going to do for Women's Day on financial literacy,
Okay.
and I'm trying to see what should be the title without saying financial literacy.
Right. Women's Day, financial literacy. Here's the first thing that came to mind. Girl, get your money together.
Ooh!
Wow, that's superb. Okay, so
Does that resonate?
Yes, of course.
There you go. It's all in there.
Wow.
Or something
Great.
like that. Play with that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just want to read off quickly what's in the chat. We
Mhm.
had, you started with SIM, which was curious. They love the curiosity.
Mhm.
That was Swarna. Nadine asked, thank you so much for the wealth of information. And Michelle Peticola says, amazing speech. Love your graphics.
Mm.
And Carolyn Douglas says, thanks for TASs again. They work. And Nadine asked, when will we get the recording? Well, hopefully sometime this week, but we'll try and get it for you. It's been a challenge. We need more team. And then C. McGeary says, thank you for the inputs and suggestions. Awesome. And somebody had their hand up. Who had their hand up?
Tiffany?
Kathleen, do you?
Tiffany has her hand up.
Tiffany, yes. Our lovely timer.
Yes. And I think I'm going to miss it right now to put up the next color. I struggle with not the title. For some reason, I struggle with writing my speeches ahead of time. In order for me to give a good speech, I have to do it either the day of. If I do it in advance and I revise it, I end up revising the entire speech.
Yeah.
If I do it the night before, I stay up all night and can't write one word.
Yeah.
So my struggle is actually doing it ahead of time.
Yeah.
That is actually my struggle, because I'm preparing to do, we are area, let me see, District 47, area 90. We are getting ready for our international speech competition, and I am entering it for our club.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find a very, what you say, an eye-catcher speech.
Mhm.
I really don't want to win the competition because I don't want to go forward, but then I still want my speech to be interesting.
Yeah. Whether you win or not, and we'll say two things, and then I think we're probably at time. Whether you win or not, you're in front of a large group of people. Change the world. Say something that will inspire those people, right? Whether you're in it for a medal or a trophy or not, there are people there listening to you. Say something that will inspire them. The second thing I will say is, yeah, I deal with that too. I don't always write. When I was competing, I would write speeches weeks, months in advance and fine tune them because every word mattered. After that or before that, night before, day of, 10 minutes before, I would just throw a speech together. Because for me, doing that is an advanced form of table topics. Can you do a 2 or 3 minute speech? That's table topics. Can you do a 15-minute speech on the spot? Go, right? So that's one way that I use to sharpen my skills. But here's one thing I would suggest. If you know you need to be in the flow and that's where the ideas come, then don't worry about writing until a day or two. Give yourself a little bit of space before. But before that, 2 or 3 weeks before that, mull over the ideas in your head. Think about how you want to start it, how you want to end it, what the key points are that you want to cover, and then you can put all the final touches on it a couple of days
See, that's the
beforehand.
thing. I have all of that, but it does not come together until the last minute.
Yeah.
I will write it. And I did that with my mentee one night. She was literally on the phone with me almost the whole night. And the next morning I say, I don't have anything. It's just, she say, really? And come the night of the speech. But my problem is, because they tell you, don't read from the paper.
Yeah.
So I always get called on that because of the time my speeches are written.
Yeah. I hear,
Well-
the muse calls when the muse calls. And I got to go by her schedule. So
Absolutely. I have a key for that. Bubble baths. I took bubble baths all the time. My first year that I was in Toastmasters, and I gave 10 speeches in 9 months because of bubble baths.
Oh.
So try it. They're very inspiring.
Shower is my
Carolyn?
speech writing place too.
What was that?
Shower is my speech writing place too. Right? Something about the
There's
water.
nothing like a bubble bath.
Right.
Oh, I have one better. Go to the steam room, sit in the sun. I guarantee you it will sweat out of you. I've done that one. But what I want to say, thank you so much, James. And to all of the Toastmasters here, I have used James as a consultant, as a coach. And 2 weeks ago, I gave a speech based on a session with James. I was switch from the lead speaker to next to the last speaker. I got a standing ovation following James's instructions. It just flowed. So I agree with you. Study your content, what you think you want to say. It comes, but know what your messages are and where you want to place them. So thank you so much, James. I really appreciate you.
I just make suggestions. You follow your own brilliance. But thank you.
Wonderful. We're at the close of our time with you, James.
Yeah.
I wish we could spend an hour and a half with you. We wouldn't get bored, that's for sure. Thank you so much for being here. We hope you come back again with more of your amazing stories and how to make our stories even better, how to make our speeches even better. And we want to see you again on that world champion stage because you are one of the best in the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you, Cynthia. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye. And now we're going to go to break. We're going to have a 5-minute break. We're going to come back and then we're going to break up into the Speechcraft room that's going to have 4 speakers and 2 speakers here in the main room. So 6 speakers in the next hour and 10 minutes. See you in 4 minutes. Bye-bye. Great. Welcome back, everyone. So in our main room here, the main event, we have 2 amazing speakers. And let me get to the link, open link. Okay. And we have oops, that's a Speechcraft. Let me get to the main agenda. Okay. And okay, the timer is going to announce the timing cards for the speech. This is a 5 to 7 minute speech. Can you announce those for us, Tiffany?
Okay, good evening once again. All speeches are 5 to 7 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. So at the 5-minute mark, we get the green, the 6 amber, and the 7 red. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. So
right.
everybody's on the same page. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for filling
You're
in
welcome.
for our timer. And I would like to introduce the wonderful DTM Rosemary Sweeney to announce the speech path and project and timing for our first speaker, who is Cassandra Garabedian.
Good evening, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. This evening, Toastmaster Cassandra will be delivering from her Understanding Your Communication Style. Her speech title is The Communication Styles of Women on Fifth Avenue. The purpose of her speech, the purpose of this project is for Toastmaster Cassandra to learn about different communication styles and identify her primary style. The purpose of the speech was for Toastmaster Cassandra to share the impact of her communication style on others. During the completion of this project, she responded to a questionnaire to help her identify her communication style. Toastmaster Cassandra will deliver a well-organized speech about some aspect of her communication style. She may choose to speak about her own communication style or the impact of communication styles on others. The speech may be humorous, informational, or any style she chooses. Let us welcome Toastmaster Cassandra as she presents the communication styles of women on Fifth Avenue. Her speech will be 5 to 7 minutes long.
Great, thank you. And we're going to be welcoming Cassandra. I believe this is one of the first times she's spoken in the main room. She is one of our speech crafters as well as a mentor in the speech craft. And today her title is Cassandra Garabedian, The Communication Styles of the Women of Fifth Street. The Communication Styles of the Women of Fifth Street, Cassandra Garabedian.
Come, join me for a hot cup of tea in quiet reflection with my family Bible as we reflect on the communication styles of three amazing women from my global village and their contribution to the development and growth as a child and to becoming the woman who sits before you today. These women were my spiritual coaches, trusted advisors, career counselors, and mentors. They nurtured me, motivated me, encouraged me to be a strong, independent Black woman with a voice. These women were living examples of how people of different races, religions, and cultures could live in harmony, to get to know their neighbors and forge a genuine relationship. How could that be, you might ask? Well, because they treated one another with dignity and respect. They instilled within me the courage, the strength, the love, and the perseverance not to be afraid to dream, but to dream big. The sky was the limit. Growing up, did you ever have mentors or trusted advisors to help you navigate your journey? If so, how did their communication style impact the way you interacted with others? For me, each in their own way prepared me for my path with their stories and their words of wisdom, which were like a grandmother's legacy. Not only were their stories deep in context, but full of emotion, revealing sometimes the ugly side of human behavior. The lack of respect shown for another human being solely based on negative misperceptions, stereotypes, and hatred being spewed in various forms of media. Their styles of communication provided an understanding of how important it is to learn how to recognize a person's communication style. because ultimately it would lead to an understanding of the secret to life and the pursuit of true happiness. Although my interactions with each of these women were different, they spoke about universal emotions such as love, loss, and forgiveness. Over time, I learned to recognize those characteristics, such as sight or behavior they use to express ideas or exchange information. Daily, I am reminded of these amazing women, whether I'm communicating with others on Zoom calls, or if I'm on a conference call, or in the office, because we're always in communication with others in some form. It's imperative that we know our own communication style as well as our audience. There are four types, I should say, four styles of communication. There's the direct, initiating, supportive, and analytical. Everyone has a primary communication style. I happen to exhibit two primary communication styles, initiating and analytical. When my initiating style comes out to mingle, I can be seen as a social butterfly, enthusiastic, energetic, spontaneous, and fun-loving. I communicate easily with others and fluently. Relationships are important to me. However, due to my energetic and expressive nature, others may feel I talk more than I listen. Therefore, I must always be conscious of the perception and allow others to share their opinions and thoughts. On the other hand, if the situation calls for analytics, well, then my analytical side steps forward. And this style of communication is precise, analytical, and logical. Because I am a systematic and task-oriented person, I can sometimes be perceived as a perfectionist. Overall, my analytical communication style can serve me well when managed, because I am organized, self-reliant, purposeful, and diplomatic. I can be slow and cautious in pace, and I like structured, ordered, and a functional environment. 12 years ago, my mother made her transition, joining others right behind the pages in the family Bible. This evening, I am honored to acknowledge these three women from my global village for their commitment to the African proverb, "It takes a village to raise a child," for creating and sharing ideas, information, and views, and the facts or their feelings to reach a common understanding on Fifth Street. My mother, for example, a fierce, independent, confident woman, was a direct communicator.
Can we wrap it up in 30 seconds, please?
Sure. And then we
Thank
have
you.
here Mrs. M, a retired school teacher who could be described as a supportive communicator. And then I also have here Mrs. J, a Japanese American woman who was described as having an analytical style. Because of these women, I strive daily to to live from a place of purpose, love, and intention. So as I gather up the obituaries and my mother's handwritten notes and place them back neatly into the Bible and sip the last cup of my tea, I can't help but to be grateful for this time we have shared together. And now our time has come to an end. I thank you for allowing me for this time. You have been a great audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. Excellent. Thank you for that cup of tea. Could we have 1 minute of silence on the clock, please, for the evaluators? Thank you, Cassandra.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's 1 minute on the clock. And I would like to now have the timer explain the 5, 6, and 7 cards for the timing for Gary's speech.
The 5, 6, and 7 card. At the 5
Yes.
minutes, you'll see the green. The 6 minutes, you will see the amber. And at 7 minutes, you will see the red.
Great. Thank you so much. And now if we could have our program quality director and DTM, Carolyn Douglas, announce the projects for Gary's speech.
Yes, I will. I'm really happy to share with the rest of the Toastmasters here that Gary is speaking from the Toastmasters Mentoring Project, Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. He's on a level 2 mentoring project. His speech title today is We All Need Help. The purpose of his presentation today is for the member to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. It is for the member to share some aspect of a previous experience as a mentor. And the speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carolyn. We so appreciate it. And we're going to introduce Gary Howarth, and he is one of our speech crafters. This is the first time he's spoken in the main room, but he is not a newbie to speaking. He's been speaking for longer than he'd like to care to admit. And he was also featured on our Toastmasters Leadership Institute with a keynote and breakout, not a breakout room, the keynote and workshop. And then he's going to do a breakout room probably in our conference. So he's not new to speaking. He's going to talk about We All Need Help. We All Need Help, Gary Howarth.
Have you ever found yourself in a place where you wanted to be, and then once you were there, found out that you didn't know a thing about what you're doing? I was 24 at the time and just graduated college recently with a degree in engineering. At that time, I thought I knew everything. How many of you at the age of 24 thought you knew everything? What I wanted to do instead of engineering is I wanted a career in sales. So I applied for a job at a Fortune 100 company for an inside sales rep. And part of the interview process was my future boss wanted me to arrange a dinner, make reservations at a nice restaurant for he and his wife, and my wife and I to have dinner together. And the purpose was to see, how do I handle myself in a situation where I need to entertain people that I don't know? So everything was going great. I picked a restaurant, it was really good. And then all of a sudden, it came time to have to order wine for dinner. And I got the menu, took a look at it, and it was like a deer in the headlights. I had no idea how to order wine. I barely knew the difference between red and white. And Bud Duncan, who ended up being my future boss and mentor, he saw that I was struggling. And at that point, he said that, let me make a couple recommendations, and hence began my training on learning about wine. The meeting went well, I got hired, and the first thing that I found out when I got on the job was that now I have to be a mediator. I had to coordinate efforts between production, manufacturing, engineering, sales, and the customer, and try to make all of them happy when things weren't going right. And there were many times I was so frustrated because they all had different goals. They all had different things they were trying to accomplish. And I had to put it all together. And so I would go to Bud and just ask him for advice, go, what do I do? And what he would do is he would never answer my questions directly. Basically, he asked me a series of questions to get me to think about how everybody else is impacted by what we need to have happen. And that was probably the biggest lesson I've ever learned from a mentor in my life, and has worked for me in so many different aspects of my relationships, both personally and in business. Another thing that he helped me out was when we went out to entertain customers and clients for dinner. There was one day when we went to an Italian restaurant, took clients for lunch. And if you were sitting at the table next to me, you would have heard me say that I'm ordering spaghetti and meatballs. And when I said that, Bud looked over to me and said, Gary, are you sure you want to order that? And I said, sure, I love spaghetti and meatballs. Why wouldn't I? And he said, okay. So all the meals came, everybody was starting to eat. And I picked up a meatball with my fork, lifted it in front of me, and it slipped right off the fork, went down into the pile of spaghetti and splattered spaghetti sauce all over my white shirt and tie. And I looked over at Bud at the time, and all he did was shake his head. And from then, I had learned to never order pasta when I'm out with clients and prospects. So that's the thing. He also taught me how to play golf, which was you had to be able to play. So I bought a set of clubs, I took lessons, and then he took me to his country club and taught me the nuances about how to play the game, the etiquette, and all those things. And there were times when I never became a very good golfer. And however, I was good enough not to embarrass myself, but to make the customers feel good that in most cases, they played better than I did. Another thing that Bud really helped me out with was a huge decision in my life where I was getting an MBA at the time, and I had received an offer for a promotion to go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is quite a long ways from Southern California where I grew up. And I just didn't know what to do. And so I sat down with Bud and said, what should I do? Once again, he used his quiet, gentle manner, just asked me a series of questions, once again, regarding, what is the most important long-term? And at the end, I decided to go ahead and get my degree, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And all these things have really impacted my life. So what I'd like to ask you to do is think about who is the Bud Duncan in your life? Who has been a mentor that made a huge impact on you? And I'll give you 11 seconds to think of that person. Well, who was your Bud? Who made the biggest impact on your life? And one of the things that Bud also did for me, by the way, is he recommended that I become a Toastmaster and join Toastmasters. Well, 40 years later, I finally did. And it really goes to show that mentors will have an impact for a lifetime. Mentors will have an impact for a lifetime. So whose life can you change by being a mentor like Bud? Thank you, Toastmaster.
Awesome, Gary. What a wild and wonderful speech. That was awesome. And I thought about my mentor, Master Park. Great. And could we have 1 minute on the clock for the evaluator, please? And a big round of applause for Gary Howard. Woohoo!
Time.
Okay, thank you so much, Timer Tiffany. Thank you. And next we have back to Tiffany to announce the timing cards for table topics, which are 1, 1.5, and 2 minutes. And for those newer guests, we're going to invite the guests especially to participate. And if you could show us the timing cards for green at 1 minute, etc.
Okay, table topics one is I'm a little fuzzy on that one. So you
It's
tell me which ones
green
to
at
put the light
1.
for. Green
Yeah,
at 1.
green at 1, amber at 1.5, and
Mhm.
red at 2 minutes, please.
Okay.
So we're all on the same page. And please help me welcome DTM Seema Giri to the stage for Madam Table Topics Master. Yay!
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I'm so happy to be here. Happy New Year, everyone, and happy Chinese New Year. It is the year of the tiger. Can you believe it? So what they say is that in 2022, the year of the tiger is going to influence us to be more courageous, big-hearted, ambitious, majestic, and brazen, just like the tiger. So, who is going to be the 3 brave souls who will answer my questions?
And can we get at least one guest? We could maybe Salim. Would
Yeah.
you be willing to answer a question?
Yeah, sure.
We can have.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. We can have
Great.
a member go first, maybe to show the way.
Yeah.
Yes. Who did you say, Cynthia?
Salim Jackson. He's one of our guests. He'll be number 2. He hasn't given a table
Number
topic
1
in a
is?
while.
I'll go.
I can do it.
Okay, great. So we'll have Gary and then we'll have Judith. Great, wonderful. Thank you so much for bringing the brave soul, Gary, for being the first one. So the first question is, how will you show up as a courageous tiger this year? How will you show up as a courageous tiger this year?
Oh, I am so excited about the Year of the Tiger. And I do intend to really stretch myself and present myself in that way. I'm venturing on two new projects. One is an app that I'm creating called Connect by Voice, which is a way to utilize your voice in emails, both in sending them and responding. And it's just a much more personal way of communicating. So putting that forth and getting it all together is really exciting. We expect to be able to launch that in next month. I keep pushing it out a tiny bit, but we're very close. And then in addition to that, I'm also looking at putting together a training program for companies and businesses to learn prospecting, because that is one of the largest fears that salespeople have, is actually picking up the phone and talking to somebody that they don't know. And I think there's as much fear based on that as there is for that some people have with public speaking. And so those are my two big goals that I'm going after like a tiger for this year.
Thank you, Gary, for sharing that. Those are pretty big, courageous, bold moves. Thank you. And let that be an example for everyone else. Okay, Salim, our guest, your question is, if you were given the chance to change New Year's Day to be any day of the year, the month and day, which would it be? Which month and day would you choose and why?
Okay, can you repeat that question? You broke out a little bit on my side.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So if you were given a chance to change the New Year's Day, when it would be through any time during the year, which day would that be and why would you change it to that day?
That's a great question. I would say February 1st. I would change it to February 1st, and here's why. It's a shorter month. So a lot of people set very audacious and significant New Year's goals and New Year's resolutions. And I think having a shorter month would allow people to accomplish what they set out to do and have a little extra, more motivation to do it in such a condensed 28-day period. So that would kind of give them more motivation to continue those great habits that they envisioned for themselves over the course of the year. So if I had to choose a new day for New Year's, my answer would be February 1st.
Amazing. Great answer. Shorter month definitely will keep people motivated too and get the task done, and would be along with the Chinese New Year. Okay, Judith, are you ready?
Not sure, but I volunteered, so I guess I just.
Well, you're a DTM, so you're a master at this. So your question is, what was the biggest fear you have overcome that propelled you forward in your work or business? What was the biggest fear you have overcome that propelled you forward in your work or business?
Well, Madam Table Topic Master, the biggest fear on my business was that I am not a businesswoman. I started a business, I am an esthetician, and I started the business many, many, many years ago. And the only reason I decided to work for myself because I realized that I am not a good employee. And I am much better work for myself than dealing with a boss who tells me what to do and when and how. So I did start a business. And I thought, okay, whatever happens, happens. We'll see who comes, who stays. And I must say, I am about almost 40 years in the business, and I still have about 2 or 3 clients who are started with me I learned how to run a business. I joined Toastmasters, I must say, which helped me a great deal in speaking, giving talks to women how to better care for their skin, learned leadership experiences. And that was my biggest obstacle. I never thought that I will be in business as long as I am, but here I am. So I guess anybody can learn to be a businesswoman if they really want to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. That was an amazing answer. And you know what? What could be a better example than that, being afraid and taking the step anyway? So many of us are doing things that we never expected to and flourishing. So congratulations. And you look amazing. Great job, everyone. And back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Great. Big round of applause for DTM Seema Giri. Woohoo! Okay, now we come to the evaluation portion of our meeting, and our general evaluator, is that you?
It's me, it's me.
It's, who's that? Sorry.
Swarna.
Swarna, yes, Swarna, DTM Swarna Kalyan is our wonderful general evaluator, and she's here to introduce her team.
Thank you so much. I hope you all having a fantastic meeting so far. I'm excited to take over this section where I'm going to listen. We're going to listen to wonderful evaluations and of course, followed by the tag teams reports. Now, can I invite I would like to invite our first evaluator, DTM Rosemary Sweeney, to deliver her evaluation on our speaker, Cassandra. Over to you. Before that, can I ask the timer to show the timer cards and how it's going to work? Tiffany?
I am here and I don't know how it's going to work. I need to be told how to put up, which colors to put up.
Okay, at 2 minutes, it'll be the green card. At 2.5 will be the yellow card. And 3 minutes would be the red, and the evaluator has 30 seconds to complete this speech.
Okay.
Okay, over to you, Rosemary.
Toastmaster Cassandra. Can we spotlight her? Because I'm not seeing her. Toastmaster Cassandra, the beginning of your speech caught my attention. Actually, the topic of the women on that street. So when I heard about 3 women, here I was thinking that the women were singers. However, no, instead I heard of a Bible. So I know they were not singing on that street. And I quickly realized that you were given a gift as a child of 3 women to be your mentors while you were growing up. All the time, my curiosity was high because I was wondering, who are these women? What are they to Cassandra? Where did she get to know them? And this kept my curiosity right through because I wanted to know about these women. You had me listening to every word. That was a wonderful story. What I would have loved to hear was a bit more vocal variety. For example, when I heard of your mom passing, you could have lowered your voice because I imagine that was a sad time for you. So it could have been said shown in your voice. I would have also liked to hear how these women mentored you, because you are now a strong Black woman because of these women. So some description of what was told to you. Additionally, your transition from one point to the next could have been smoother. I was still listening to find out about the women when you brought in your communication style. So it could have had a smoother transition, and these women will XYZ. But I will tell you about my communication style and introduce your communication style. At the end of your speech, I loved it. You brought me back to the beginning of the speech. And here I learned about the women, who these women were, and how they assisted you. Overall, your presentation was good. What I would have loved was to see more of your eye contact because you appeared to be reading. I would have loved to hear your vocal variety. But overall, your speech was very interesting because I listened from beginning to end. And it seems you did what our first speaker said, where you wrapped up with what you started, you ended. So congratulations. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Miss Rosemary.
Welcome.
Thank you, DTM Rosemary. Wonderful evaluation indeed. Now I would like to invite our PQD and our DTM, Carolyn Douglas, to give us the evaluation for our second speaker, Gary Howard. The timing sequence remains the same.
Thank you so much, Generally Evaluator Shawana. Fellow Toastmasters, and especially Gary, it's my pleasure to share my thoughts on the evaluation of your speech. We all need help. And this is a very important speech for all of us to hear because we all need speech. And I feel that you very well demonstrated through your speech, point by point, the value of having a mentor in our life. Your speech had a very good opening. You began placing the question before us for us to consider something because you had an intention for us to know where you were going and what we could experience through your speech. The content was really meaty. I appreciated the storytelling. I got a chance to know more about your mentor, Bud Duncan, than I thought I would actually know about him because you shared several areas and points in your life where he was instrumental in guiding you into being more than what you thought you were. I love the fact that his sensing abilities were out there for you when you were struggling with the wine list, and he knew he could help you out with that. So he provided that to you. I appreciate the fact that you were reciprocal in the relationship because when you needed to have information about something else, he asked you questions to cause you to think. And as he contemplated those questions, he was able to give you guidance that was necessary for you. What else did I like about this story? I love the fact that you had a really good closing that is memorable. Mentors will have an impact on you for a life. Who could forget that? What is it that I believe you could work on? I think it would be really good for you to consider, because you have a good, clear speaking voice, to do a little bit more emphasis for the vocal variety. You are very well heard, but in terms of vocal variety, you can add a little punch in places. And what is it that I would ask you to challenge yourself on? When you are transitioning from one topic to the other, or when you're going from one story to another, I would invite you to do a little bit longer pause because it sets us up for moving on to something else. Other than that, I really enjoyed your presentation very much. I could sit and listen to your storytelling time and time again. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. Wonderful evaluation indeed. I'm sure Gary and Cassandra have gained a lot from the evaluations. Now, I would like now to invite my tag team, starting with the timer, to tell us how we have done in the timing for the whole meeting, starting from our guest speaker to all the speeches and of course the evaluations as well. Tiffany, can you please share with us where we on time? Did anyone go over time or where they need to improve?
A short briefing as let's see. Oh, I'm saying, take me off your list. Take me off your list. Okay, so we had one, two, keynote speaker. He went over time, but then it was fine because it was in, I kind of lost track because I was lost inside his presentation. So that was basically my fault. Cassandra went over time, but not by much. Everybody else are table topics. Persons who answered the questions, everybody who was in the 2-minute time frame. Our evaluators were in time. That's my report. I did you want numbers as like
Maybe for Cassandra, if you can tell what timing she went overtime, so next time she knows to look out
Okay.
for her speech.
Okay, so the speakers, Cassandra was 8 minutes, exactly 8 minutes I timed her at. And our second speaker, he was at 7 minutes and about 10 seconds.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Wonderful. Yeah. And now we have our counter and also a grammarian. So double role today for Judith. DTM
Yes,
Judith.
thank you, Smara. Well, it's only Jeffrey and Cynthia use wild. I guess it wasn't wild, a very popular word, but that's what it was. I just want to say two things about Jeffrey's speeches that I learned a word which I didn't know, and that's recency. I have never heard this word before. And thank you. That's really nice to learn. And sim, that was really, really fabulous. It was really nice that some of these expressions that he used, certainly we used. Okay, I have a question. Who were Cassandra's mentors and advisors? Anyone can answer the question?
The women on her street.
On what street?
Fifth Street.
Fifth Street. That's it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so Gary, I have some things about your speech. First of all, there were too many ends, and a couple of you knows and a few so's. Now, one of the issue that I have sometimes in speeches is the word things. So you say another thing, help me out. Think is not a definite anything. So you do have to think about another word instead of thing. Like different thing accomplish, what are they exactly? So that might be a good something to think about. And let's see. Salim had a couple of arms and you knows. And Rosemary had some so's and but, and actually that's also might be another word we can think of at some point. And this is my report, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much. Let me start my evaluation today with my tag team, starting with my tag team. I think we should all unmute and thank Tiffany to step in today as timer. Imagine
Yes.
coming to a meeting and someone says, hey, can you be a timer?
Yes.
Or can you take up a role? And she was a good sport. So I want to thank Tiffany for doing that. Yeah. Tiffany, thank you so much. You did a fabulous
You're welcome.
Yeah, and we at Leaders Worldwide truly appreciate what you're doing for us. Okay, I see you as guests, so probably you're not a member yet, but we would love to have you as our member as well. Okay, Now, coming to Judith, I've just seen Judith do so many times she steps in. And today, of course, she stepped in as always. And her language and our counter report, it's not easy doing both together. And she did a fabulous job. Identifying each speaker is also something that she did fabulously well, because this is what we need as a language evaluator or as an art counter. Instead of generalizing, it's better to say, hey, Gary, this is where you need to improve. And Gary knows where to improve. Instead of saying, I heard someone say, then we don't know who this someone is. So Judith, thanks for making it personal. Of course, sometimes people don't like it, but I think we are here to learn. And in the spirit of learning, knowing where I have gone wrong is essential. And you did a fabulous job there. Thank you so much. Now let's start with our SAA, as always, full of energy. I think leaders worldwide cannot have another SAA better than her. Okay, so she's not here, but she did very well to introduce our club president and start the meeting. And our club president today stepped in as the Toastmaster of the day. Again, this is something that I am very proud of leaders worldwide, because one is we start the meeting on time, and when we have no role holders, someone will step in. And today our club president stepped in as Toastmaster of the day, and she did a fabulous job. It is tough to suddenly take over something and then you don't have the agenda with you and things like that, but still the meeting went very well. Thank you so much, DTM Cynthia, for doing this job and setting an example for all of us in this club that this is how we do our meetings. So thank you so much. Just one comment, if I have to give you a recommendation, I think initially you forgot to tell about the timing for our speaker, Cassandra, but you did it for Gary. So that was the only thing that I could really think of if I have to give you a recommendation is it's always nice to remind the speakers that, hey, pin the timer and the timing sequence is this, so they know that they have to be speaking on time. And Toastmasters is about not speaking alone, but speaking on time and making the impact on time. So that is why timing is so important in our speeches. And then we will go into our table topic master. She did fabulous. Thank you so much, Seema. And you really tied it to the theme of this meeting today, which is Lunar New Year, and you tied it up to New Year and you had your questions accordingly. And was nice to say, okay, I need 3 speakers, and you set what you want and what is expected of you. So it was very well done on time. And if you look at the time now, we are actually ahead of whatever we are supposed to do. So we are doing very well on time today. And our evaluators, how many of you will agree that this 2 evaluations we heard is like contest level evaluations? How many of you? I think they were fabulous, right? I mean, we learned so much from evaluators like Carolyn and Rosemary. I always enjoy, because evaluations is just not for the speaker, it's also for the listener. I learn more about how to do a speech by listening to what the evaluator tells. Oh, you could have done this, and then, oh yeah, I never got that, so it really helps. The evaluation really helps, and you both did a fabulous job. You use the method. If there are visitors here, I would just like to elaborate a little bit on the method that the evaluators use. Both of them use the sandwich method, where we call it as the commendation, recommendation, and commendation, and of course, with the cherry on top, which is the summary. Yeah? So they did a beautiful sandwich or a burger method where you give the commendation. You tell the speakers, you did fabulously well in this, but you can improve on this. And then you come back to giving them a commendation and summarizing them so that they know how their speech was done. And both of them used the same method, and it was very well done. So thank you so much. And this is my general evaluation for the meeting today. And I'm so happy to have this opportunity. And thank you so much. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Swarna, DTM Swarna. Let's give her a big round of applause. Woohoo! Excellent and excellent team. Your team stepped up. Both your timer and your grammarian counter were our guests. We just so appreciate you stepping up and in Toastmaster fashion. And all the role players today were just excellent, absolutely excellent. Kathleen is not back, but she's going to talk about Easy Speak. Many of you are getting onto Easy Speak, and you're putting in your title of your speech, you're putting in your project number, and making it easy for us to fill out the agenda. We really, really appreciate that. We want to move forward and get that cleaned up and tightened up. If you don't know how to do that and you're in the main room or the speechcraft room, get with Kathleen and she will absolutely show you how. And that's when we're going to start working on our TEDx event. We're so excited to be doing that this fall and also to be doing a philanthropic project with that. That's going to be led by me because it's not a Toastmasters thing to do a philanthropic project, but we will have it as a sidebar, kind of like a booth at a live event. So great. So now it's time for table takeaways and chocolates. And I would like to ask our guest, Sharon Eason, if you're available, if you have your mic available to unmute or your camera possible, but just your mic's okay. We'd like to hear what your experience was here at Leaders Worldwide. What are you taking away with you? What is valuable to you? And it looks like, hi, Sharon.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much for having me this evening, or tonight, I should say, because it's past the evening. My experience was, it was a great experience. I learned so much from beginning to end. I enjoyed the presentations, the speeches. I especially enjoyed the table topics and, how the responders were able to answer in such and answer the question so beautifully on the spot. I'm not sure if I could have done something that great if on the spot like that. They delivered. The evaluator, the general evaluator, I think, how she wrapped everything up and gave everyone feedback on the various aspects of the meeting. And the evaluators of the two speeches that were given today. Just listening to the evaluators, I do agree that you learn a lot of how a speech should be given, how to put it together, the things you should be thinking about when you're delivering your speech. So thank you guys very much for having me. I've, always visiting Toastmasters. I feel like it's a learning ground for me. And I do enjoy visiting. So thank you so much.
Great.
And thank you for Rosemary Sweeney for inviting me this evening.
Awesome. And are you a Toastmaster or just a guest visiting Toastmasters clubs?
I am a guest. I am in the process of making a decision on which club I would join. So, I'm looking at person clubs and virtual, and so Rosemary Sweeney I spoke to her about it and she was able to send me the link this evening and invite me. So I want to thank her for that as well.
Yes, she's wonderful and she will guide you along the way and give some input. We'd love to have you back visiting us again. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
And we give away virtual chocolates at the end. They have no calories. They have no sugar. Would you like one?
Those are the best kinds.
What would you like? Dark chocolate, milk chocolate, nuts?
Nuts.
All right. A nutty chocolate coming your way. Woohoo! 1, 2, 3. Woo!
Got it. Thank you.
Enjoy. Okay. And Celine, would you like to share your experience? You're our guest, and then you're becoming our newest member.
Absolutely. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. My experience has been phenomenal. And Cynthia, thank you so much for the persistence and follow-up. And I'm so honored to be in the presence of so many amazing speakers. Every single speaker that I heard tonight, I have something that I can learn from. So I really appreciate you guys, and I want you guys to have a great rest of your Monday and have a great night.
Thank you so much. And would you like a virtual chocolate?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, any particular flavor?
Just dark chocolate is perfect.
Ah, dark chocolate, my favorite. Coming your way. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Enjoy.
Thank you.
Great. And do we have anyone else that would like to share? How about Gary? Would you like to share your experience speaking in the main room and being evaluated by Carolyn Douglas?
It was a lot of fun. And there goes the word "and" again. I really learned a lot. It really has helped me perfect what I need to do in the future. And I'm just very happy to have completed both my level 1 and level 2. And Carolyn, thank you so much for the evaluation. I really appreciate that. Going to work on that vocal variety. That's always been a sticking point for me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. May I share this with you? Usually when we find people that have such good clarity in their voice and project, and you're used to speaking, it can almost become like a monotone. That's why we ask for you to consider, do a little bit more emphasis, because that'll bring in the vocal variety. I just wanted to explain that for you.
Oh, thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for the grammarian to help me with my ums and so's and you knows. And that's something I definitely will keep an eye on more in the future. So thank you very much. I had a great time tonight.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. And would you like a chocolate?
Absolutely.
Any particular kind?
With caramel.
Ooh, yum, yum, yum. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3, whoosh. And let's give a special round of applause for Gary finishing his level 1 and 2 in this speechcraft. Woohoo! Woo! And you'll be one of our competitors in 2 weeks for the International Speech Contest, right?
I suppose I will.
Somebody will have to save the chat for me so I can get all the people that volunteered. Great. Okay. And anyone else want to share? Cassandra, would you like to share?
Sure. I'd like to, first of all, thank Rosemary, Miss Rosemary, again for the awesome evaluation. All of the points that you hit, Miss Rosemary, I totally agree with. Again, thank you. And as far as with James' speech, our keynote speaker, awesome. His information, his speech was just, jam-packed, full of information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
James is always amazing, and we're lucky to have him come again and again and again. And to have such great evaluators, DTM Rosemary Sweeney and DTM Carolyn Douglas, high caliber leaders and evaluators. So thank you so much. And I'm sure that Gary and Cassandra are extremely grateful for that wonderful feedback. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And Cassandra, would you like a chocolate?
Oh, I sure would. Milk chocolate with almonds.
Milk chocolate with almonds. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Anyone else want to share? Did our speech crafters come back? Oh, Nadine's here. Would you like to share what your experience was in the speech craft?
I think everybody in our speechcraft did really well. Everybody is has stepped it up, and it was very, very, very interesting speeches. Grace and Sandra told engaging stories, and Deborah spoke about her business, and it was very engaging as well. So yeah, it was very, very nice session. That's it.
Great. And you finished your level 1 tonight, right? With your research speech that completes your level 1. Is that right?
Is that so? I don't know.
Yes, yes, that's
Okay.
4 speeches, level 1. Let's give her a big round of applause. Woo! Congratulations, Nadine.
Thank you,
And
thank you.
would you like a chocolate?
Yeah, sure. Rice Krispie.
Rice Krispie chocolates. Ooh, here they come. 1, 2, 3. Woo!
Thank
Oh, I think our grammarian grabbed some of that one too. Delicious.
I can't leave without having chocolate.
And would you like to share your experience? Thank you so much for volunteering. You're amazing Toastmaster.
Well, isn't that what we do in this Toastmaster world? You know, I mean, you know, we're just volunteer, and but that's I mean, to me, that's a natural thing. We just fill in. It's yeah, it was really great. And Cynthia, what I would like to ask you, if I could possibly join one of the speech crafts, because I am about to be part of a speech craft in the club that we're trying to revive. And so I would like to join one of the session of the speechcraft.
Sure, anytime. Just tell the Zoom master when you get on that you would like to join the Speechcraft. And if we have a couple of breakout rooms, then he'll put you in whichever one they can put you into, and you can see that. And as Curtis just put a thumbs up for that.
And that's your next meeting, right?
Every meeting till through the end of March. Well, not when we have our
contest,
international speech contest. Yeah.
Right. But this is it's an 8-week program that you're doing?
Yeah. So we're going to have another one in the afternoon session next week. And the week after that is going to be our international speech contest. And then we'll have them all 4 weeks in March through the end of March. And then we might have some in April too. Go ahead.
Judith, are you available midday next week? Yeah, Pacific time, midday,
11 to 1 p.m.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which day?
Monday.
Mondays.
Monday?
From 11 to 1.
11 to 1. I think so. What happens?
Yeah,
at the contest?
that's going to be a speechcraft then.
Oh, speechcraft. Oh, yes, I will. Yes, 11 to 1.
Come for that. 11 to 1. So come on at 10:30 if you can, and then we start at 11. Thanks, Kathleen.
It's the same Zoom
Yes,
thing?
it's the same Zoom registration.
I'll contact you, Judith.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Happy to have you.
Awesome. Awesome. And would you like a chocolate? Oh, did you have your chocolate already? You got your chocolate, right? No,
I know. I didn't get my chocolate.
You only took some of
Nadine's.
Okay, what would you like?
Anything that's still available, whatever leftover it is.
How about some Belgian dark chocolate?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely that's fabulous.
I love it. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh.
Oh, thank you.
Enjoy. Okay, and that about wraps it up. So next week, we're gonna have a regular meeting with the Speechcraft. 10:30, we gather at 11 to 1. We're gonna have our meeting. And then the following week on
The 21st of February.
The 21st of February from 5:30 to 8:30, we're going to have a international speech contest. Yeah, we're hoping to have about 10 people. And I keep getting messages from chat. So let me see these messages. Oh, yeah. Deborah, somehow her camera got off and it wasn't recorded. Is that right?
Oh, we recorded her picture, and her voice, but we didn't see her, and we didn't know whether she intended that or not until later. It finally, especially when I saw her all dressed up, it dawned on me that she didn't intend that.
Because she
I
was
didn't know
on
whether-
video here in the main
Yes,
room.
I know, but
Something happened.
yeah,
Technology. Oh.
but she gave a great speech.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Great. So, great. And we'll see you next week. And then in 2 weeks, we'll see you at the International Speech Contest. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Cynthia, congratulations for your speech the other night.
Yeah, at Heart to Heart, I took second
Heart to
place.
Heart, that's right.
I'm
Yeah,
so
it was a
glad. I
great
won't be
speech.
competing in the area contest because I'm going to be running for Division G director in Northern California.
Oh, and Cynthia, is that going to be starting before the end of this term? It's not for next year, it's for this
It's for
right
next
now.
year, but I start running
Next
now.
year, of course.
Yes.
Oh, I
start
see.
running now. So I made lots of connections and then I'm going to file my paperwork and I'm
see.
talking to the coordinator for that tomorrow.
I see.
So wish
that's
me
great.
luck at Division G. Yeah, it's the northern regions where they have more trees than people, but they're awesome Toastmasters up there, very well seasoned, and we're hoping to marry them with our incoming mentees of English language learners. So it's going to be an exciting year. Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I hope for congratulations. Thank you. Yes, Nadine, your speech was recorded and
Yes, and Nadine, I will send you a link. I promise to send you the link to the
No,
whole.
I was asking if Cynthia's heart-to-heart speech was recorded.
it was recorded, and I'll be launching out the video with an intro and outro, and I get to launch it out because I'm not in the competition, and I'll hopefully send that to you in the next week or two when they get it ready for me. Yeah, I spoke about speak, knees knocking, lips quivering, almost passing out, speak. Great. Have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.